Just see if it's just relative.
All right. Time set for a restitution here, sentencing and a restitution hearing. Parties ready to proceed?
We are, I already know where you want to start.
Well, after the holiday, really didn't want to start at all, but I'm here. What are you suggesting?
Well, Judge, I think with this, I guess you let me pick, I'll go with the sentencing. I believe we previously indicated that we've reviewed the recommendation. There's no correction that needs to be made to the report. We just have, obviously, the restitution was one issue. That's why we have a hearing on it, and also the recommended 3 days of jail time for the bond violations. Right, and that's another point we wanted to address.
Okay, the bond violations, right? Well, why don't we start with the restitution hearing? Let's get that out of the way, and you can try to formulate something that encompasses a whole sentence. And counsel, there was one issue that came up and received and I think copies were sent to the parties because the court had reviewed it. And I know a copy was sent to council. So, all right, why don't we start with that? Are people ready to proceed with restitution here?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed and call witnesses if you.
The people will call Cashmere Morley.
Come forward and be sworn.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? State and spell your first and last name. Right.
That's Cashmere Morley, C-A-S-H-R-E-M-O-R-L-E-Y.
You may inquire.
So I know, Ms. Morley, you submitted a request today for lost wages as well as reimbursement for therapy costs. So we've already had a conversation about just proceeding forward with the request for therapy costs and not lost wages. So we're going to just talk about therapy costs today.
Ma'am, are you a
as far as that goes, it's my understanding that you've received 2 types of therapy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell me what those 2 types of therapy are?
The first type is more of traditional type of therapy, I guess you would say, and the second type is somatic craniosacral therapy.
When you say traditional type of therapy, are you saying like psychotherapy? Okay. And can you tell me who you see for that?
I see Wendy Wednesday.
Okay.
Wendy. Nobody get a spelling for the record.
K-L-I-N-S-K-I.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know about how much you're requesting for psychotherapy specifically today?
I believe it was close to $3,000, maybe a little less.
For just psychotherapy?
Oh, I don't know between the two.
Okay, so if I told you 145904, does that sound right? Okay. Can you tell me, does insurance cover those appointments for you?
It does.
Has it always covered those appointments for you in total?
Not in total. I do pay some out of pocket.
Okay, so has your out-of-pocket cost for those changed over time? When immediately following this incident, can you tell me about how long it was before you had your first psychotherapy appointment?
After September 22nd, I had a therapy appointment. I think it was a couple of days after. It was over the weekend.
Okay, and was it have you had appointments ongoing since then, or did you stop? Okay, and do you know about how many appointments you've had?
I've gone at least once a week since September 22nd. That would be, but
If I said 22 appointments, okay. And so do you happen to know about how much you were billed for those initial appointments?
initially it was around like 147 out of pocket, and then my insurance changed, and then I paid like 20 out of pocket.
Okay, if you saw an invoice or invoices for your individual therapy appointments today, would you recognize them?
Did your insurance change at some point?
Yes,
You obtained insurance?
I had insurance the whole time. Just the new year I got insurance.
I'll see the bill and maybe you have questions. Go ahead.
May I approach you, Honor?
You may.
There's other record of that in the spreadsheet that witness people because they did it number one.
I know I just handed you a stack of papers. It should be 22 pages because there's 22 appointments. As far as the first page, do you recognize it?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the invoice for your September 24th visit?
Yes.
Okay. Looking at that, can you tell me the exact amount that you paid out of pocket for that first visit?
47.38 cents.
Okay. And flipping through, is that the same amount that you paid until the end of 2023 for each visit?
Let's see, yes.
For the psychotherapy, which should be the only invoices in that. So I believe that those are 8 appointments between September and the end of December in 2023. So 8 appointments at $147.38. Okay. And then you said you got new insurance. What was your insurance previously?
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And was it an insurance adjustment or or did it cover part of the appointment before?
Yeah.
Okay. But you still had an out-of-pocket expense of $147. Okay. And then starting in 2024, your out-of-pocket expense per appointment went down. Is that correct? Okay. And so you had 14 appointments at that lower out-of-pocket expense. Is that correct?
That's right.
And so those, can you tell me what date you started having that newer rate?
Oh, sweet Jesus.
2024.
What?
The new rate began on January 1st, and the first appointment I had was on the 15th of January.
Okay. And so you continued your appointments at that regular frequency. And I think the most recent appointment invoice we have in there is from May 22nd. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So can you tell me a little bit, first, how much out of pocket were each of those appointments? $20 each? Okay. So 14 appointments at $20 each. And what was the new insurance?
Priority health.
Priority Health. So talking a little bit about psychotherapy, can you tell me just kind of what that modality is like as far as therapy?
Yeah, I originally started going to that particular kind of therapy before this event even started because of the toxic workplace that I was working in that Jason had created. And after this event, I started going at least once a week. And that was really kind of realize that this person that I had looked up to and thought was a mentor was actually very manipulative and abusive.
But so when I'm asking about modality, I mean, is it a movement therapy? Is it a talk therapy? something, okay. Is it one-on-one?
Yes.
Is it in person?
Yes.
Okay. And
Here
so
we go.
what makes these appointments after the incident with the defendant in September different from the appointments before, if anything?
Before, I was just hoping that I could go to therapy for generalized anxiety around going to this workplace, hoping that therapy would help. After the event, it was more centered on, coming to terms with the fact that this guy that I admired and looked up to was abusive and trying to work through how I got to that point and just trying to understand how I had worked for somebody like that for so long.
Hold on a moment. So you were seeing the same therapist prior to September 22nd?
That's
For how long?
I would say a month before. Or I can't remember, I think her letter specifies.
I don't,
I was just about to.
okay, go ahead.
Mhm. Okay, I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay.
Are explaining her treatment related to this incident for you. If you saw that today, would you recognize it? Your Honor, may I approach?
Me.
Please let the record reflect that the people are approaching with people proposed exhibit number 2. I just handed you a 2-page document. Do you recognize it? What is it?
This is the letter that my therapist wrote.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of that letter?
Yes.
Can you,
What's the date on that letter?
First day.
can you tell me, is there a specific link between those post September 22nd appointments and the defendant's actions on September 22nd?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, every single therapy appointment that I've been to since this happened has been about this incident.
In what way?
Trying to heal from the trauma of it and understand how I was trapped in the position in the first place.
Okay, turning to the second kind of therapy you
Hell no.
mentioned at the start. What is that?
That is craniosacral therapy, which I did online. Would you like me to describe it?
Please.
After the event happened, I would say around October time, I was experiencing symptoms of PTSD. And my friend who knows therapists suggested that I go see this craniosacral therapist for my PTSD because it was getting so bad where I couldn't even eat or sleep or accept like a hug from much, like resolve into panic attacks. And so I started seeing them to be able to touch the trauma of the event and relive the event without dissolving into panic attacks every day.
Okay, so you have psychotherapy, which is talk therapy. What type of activities do you engage in this second type of therapy?
I would say the initial part of the session is talk therapy, and then we go into more of the craniosacral part of it, which is lying flat and kind of envisioning the trauma and going to the event without and being able to touch it, I guess, without resolving into panic attacks.
And you said you did it online. How does that work?
The two therapists and I start off conversation and just kind of talk about like where I'm at, how I'm feeling and everything like that. And then we go into, I like lay down in, my room or wherever I feel comfortable, and they kind of guide me through kind of like a meditation. And we slowly work through the trauma surrounding the event, the trauma that I have after the fact, daily trauma, kind of just talking about like how to kind of access that part of my brain and myself. So it kind of helps me alleviate the stress and trauma, both physically and mentally, in a way that the talk therapy wasn't addressing.
So I have that you started craniosacral sessions in February. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and so you've only had 7 sessions, is that correct?
Yeah, that's all.
The most recent being in June. And as far as those 7 sessions, did you have any insurance coverage for those sessions? Can you tell me how much your out-of-pocket expense was? Okay, if you saw an invoice for those sessions today, would you recognize it? May I approach?
You may.
Do this today, Your Honor. My health is in jeopardy right now.
What's up?
I have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
and what's been going on,
Very stressful.
I'm bleeding inside.
In it. Showing a page for each of the 7 sessions, is that correct? Can you tell me, is that a fair and accurate representation of the invoices that you've seen for those 7 sessions? Your Honor, the people move to admit people's proposed exhibit number 3.
Any objection of what here?
I didn't admit the previous ones, did I?
You did not.
Your Honor, the people move to admit people's proposed exhibits 1 and 2. Thank you.
Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 for the record are admitted.
Thank you. Clearly under caffeinated.
Apparently.
Can you tell me a little bit about how have these craniosacral sessions helped at all with your PTSD?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and I will say that I thought it was all woo-woo, just BS kind of therapy, and that's why I waited so long to try it, but I think that this has been one of the most helpful modalities of therapy I've had in terms of trying to heal from this.
And so as far as the invoices go, I noticed that her address is in North Carolina. Do you happen to know, does she have a license or a certificate or?
Yeah, she was originally living in Ann Arbor, so she started out here and she is licensed to do this kind of thing.
And what kind of license do you need to do this kind of thing? Do you happen to know? Okay.
How do we know that she's licensed? And through whom?
Do you know through whom she's licensed?
I don't, I mean, I can find out, but I don't know.
Well, okay, go ahead.
How did you?
I say the words that she said, or
Sure. I need for you to tell me what went on.
that I'm not on that whole shit. I'm not with that whole shit.
Okay. Did you receive a letter outlining your sessions with them and the link to the incident between you and the defendant on September 22nd? If you saw that letter today, would you recognize it?
What's the date of that letter?
May 3rd.
And the other one was May what? Okay.
May I approach?
May.
The people are approaching the witness. The people proposed exhibit number 4.
Okay, all this is over restitution, so she wants to be paid for therapy. I don't know about the underlying case.
I just handed you
But I
a
hate this
2-page
restitution claim
document.
with passion in case you haven't figured it
Tell me
out.
what it is.
This is a letter from my craniosacral therapist,
And can you tell me what her name is?
Michelle.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of the letter that she wrote related to this incident dated May 3rd?
Yes.
Your Honor, the people move to admit people's proposed exhibit number 4.
Exhibit 4 is admitted.
One moment, Your Honor. So just to be clear, in total for the craniosacral sessions, because it's 7 appointments at $90 each, that's a request for $630 for those appointments. And then we previously said $1,459.04 for the psychotherapy appointments. Is that correct?
That was the plan.
So you're asking for a total of
Plan B.
$2,089.04 today?
This
Okay.
this
Nothing
stream's
further
going
at this time,
private
Your Honor.
afterwards.
Mr. Allen, can you hand me?
But I'm in this far. I'm sticking around till the end.
Cross-examination.
Come on. Really, I just have a few questions for you, just to clarify a couple of things. It should not take very long. I kind of specifically wanted to ask you about the cardiovascular therapy. So this Michelle Tupko, the woman that wrote the letter, so it's somebody that your friend recommended, correct? Okay, and you didn't go to your insurance company to see if that's something that could be covered by insurance?
Yeah, she doesn't have insurance.
She does not accept insurance. Okay, and did you look for her through your insurance? Like my insurance lets me go on the website and search for professionals to see. Okay, did you find her in the list? Okay. And so these are virtual sessions, correct? So you understand that Ms. Tupko lives in a different state, right? North Carolina, is that right? Okay. Do you know if she has an office?
She does.
Well, have you seen it? Have you been there?
I've not been there, but I've, during our virtual sessions, I see it.
Okay, and you said there was a partner also? Do you know if their business has a website?
They're actually making a website right now.
Okay, so no
Big
website.
what?
They're making a website as we speak.
Well, because when I was looking for the Way of Wild Remembrance healing therapies, I was not able to find anything online. So that's why I was curious so no website to your knowledge, correct? Okay, and you said it is your understanding that Ms. Tupko is licensed, right? But you were not able to find through your insurance, correct? Okay, did you verify her license in any way?
I am not in the modality to do that, so I don't verify licenses, so no, I didn't.
Okay, so you just assumed she was licensed?
I took her at her word that she's licensed.
Okay,
yes.
but you've never seen any confirmation, never looked into it yourself,
We
correct?
looked her up online, she's licensed.
Where would you look her up online?
Google her name, you can see that she's licensed.
Well, I did Google her name and I only found a LinkedIn profile. Are you familiar with it? LinkedIn? Okay. And I mean, there's no picture of an individual, but the only person with that name, it says Ann Arbor, is a Thai massage therapist.
Well,
Is it what?
Hey now.
Thai massage?
Got it.
I can speak very highly of Thai massage.
Oh, you looked her up on Google?
I wouldn't ask.
Okay,
I
but
wouldn't ask for
so
court
there's no
to pay for
website
it.
though, right?
yes,
How do you know they're making one right now?
because we discussed it. I don't know if it's in
Uh,
On what?
I need
there. We discussed it.
I need some Thai massage time for restitution for watching this
Were you
freaking
aware that
hearing.
this is something that I learned while I was preparing for this hearing, that there's the Biodynamic Cardiovascular Therapy Association of North America.
No, I was not aware of that.
Okay, well, and so there's a website that lets you look for practitioners who are licensed
Is there
specifically
any other kind?
for biodynamic cardiovascular therapy. And I was not able to find Ms. Tupko in Michigan or North Carolina or really anywhere through that website. That's surprising to you?
No, just not aware.
Okay.
Well,
Judge
we may
Simpson
have to
thinking
get that
everything
person
I'm
up there
saying.
to testify, because I don't. Do you know why they're? Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Malinka, but I just got to get some things clarified here. Did you read this letter of May 3rd? Did you request this letter from them?
Yes, I did.
And because I'm looking at Exhibit 4, they don't have letterhead.
No, they don't. They're not very web-based people.
Thanks, Iris. Only on Law Talk with Mike.
The letterhead doesn't take web. I mean, I just,
By the way, stone cold sober first thing in the morning.
And that's why-
well, you know a lot about these people, but why don't you just answer my question?
Well,
My
that's-
question. Ms. Yermelinka, go ahead, because apparently I'm not gonna get an answer. Go ahead.
All right, and just to clarify, I believe you
You know what?
you testified that you started this kind of psychotherapy in February, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you didn't increase your sessions with your psychotherapist, you just started doing a different type of therapy on your
I
own.
only did it when they were available, which was once a month.
Okay, but you
I
were
don't
not
blame 'em.
referred to them through your current
This is
therapist,
some
correct?
BS.
Okay. And what was your psychotherapist letter indicated that you started therapy with them in June of 2020, correct? So you sought out that months prior to the events of September 22nd, correct? Thank you. I don't have any other questions for you.
I thought the attorney
How
did a
were
great job.
these bills to the Way of Wild Remembrance paid?
Through your PayPal.
You have the PayPal receipts?
Not on me, no, but I can get them.
You should be able to download them now and send them to the prosecutor. I want to see that these were paid. And I'm still curious. Let's back up. Great Lakes Psychology Group. You actually go in there?
Yes.
Okay. You were seeing them before
This hearing snuck up on us.
the date of this incident,
It really got
Right.
worse.
before September 22nd. How did you? So initially, these were paid
Who
with
cares
a
if they're paid?
Discover card.
It's garbage. I wouldn't order this for restitution.
They continued to be paid with a Discover card.
I don't know what the underlying crime was that they're seeking restitution for. Maybe that's bad. It's irrelevant. I'm just looking at the restitution claim per se, and it's crazy.
You said you switched insurance in January.
She lost me with the toxic work environment, which is a phrase that is just abused rampantly in society today.
Sessions with Great Lakes.
It means that your boss makes you work.
And who was this individual that referred you to Way Wild? Remember it?
One of my friends who had done some work. with her.
Who was that?
Who was my friend?
That's my question.
Her name is Susan Ulrich.
Last name, spell it. So,
I met her through mutual.
do you know if she has a connection to Way Wild Remembrance?
She does not have a connection. No.
How, pardon?
Other than knowing the therapist, she does not have any connection.
Did she say how she knows the therapist?
She had some work done from them when they lived in Ann Arbor.
Somewhat.
Some work done from them when they lived in Ann Arbor. Some therapy sessions with them.
Conversation you had about them being licensed. Did they say who they were licensed through?
They did, but I don't remember if that was the first talks that we had during our first conversation.
Okay. Did they say they were licensed through a state and or Commonwealth? Any of the 50?
I can't remember.
Pardon?
I said, I'm sure they did, but I can't remember. That was not the focus of our meetings. So
Did they say they were licensed in Michigan? I'd like- Laura, look up either this or that individual. Do the individuals at Great Lakes know that you're seeing the individuals at Remembrance, whatever it goes like?
Okay, that'd be a no.
Is there a reason? Are the, I'll call them therapists, because I don't know what else to call them at this point, but are the therapists at Wild Remembrance in consultation in any way with the people at Great Lakes or vice versa?
no, not to my knowledge.
Wild Remembrance is the name of this outfit.
Have records, to your knowledge, been sent, or have you authorized records to be sent from Great Lakes to Wild Remembrance and or vice versa?
No.
I mean, it's better than Love You Long Time, but not much.
Have they given a prognosis or
Who brings us
to
in front of a
you as
judge?
to how long they believe this therapy will need to be continued? I should say, has Great Lakes done that?
The last time that we spoke, she was hopeful that we could begin to wind it down over the next couple months.
And the folks at Wild Remembrance, did they?
That was.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
So ending sometime when the last time you spoke with them was when?
The end of June. And so we're hopeful for both parties to wrap up hopefully by the end of the summertime.
See anything?
Either under Michelle or Wade.
Who's the other individual that you see with Wild Remembrance?
Oh, her partner, his name is Kalaya.
Kalaya?
K-I-L-A-Y-A, last name Harris, spelled how you would expect.
K,
K-I-L-A-Y-A, and the last name is Harris.
Heron, Herr.
No, Harris, H-A.
Harris, okay, I'm sorry. Need to look that one up too. Right. Do you know whether or not this Remembrance has a tax ID, anything along those lines?
I would not know. I mean, I'm happy to call her if you want to answer these questions, but I would not know myself.
Somewhere or another, I need to download payment records if they exist for that. Like I said, there shouldn't be a reason she can't get them right now. Council, I am a little bit worried about who these people in North Carolina are because I don't know. I don't know whether it's a licensed therapy or anything along those lines. You said your insurance rejected paying for them? What was the insurance
say.
basis for rejecting payment?
Out of network,
Pardon?
out of network.
That was their sole reason? As part of my other concern, council, so you can be aware, and I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna try to do some digging on this a little bit because anyway, is unlike with
It was set up.
okay. Um, one thing, I mean, I will let you know that I'm a little bit questioning the way of wild remembrance. As
Yeah, you
there
are.
may be a valid reason for it, but I don't have letterhead, which would seem unusual of drafting a letter. But also, I noticed that only one of the therapists signed this letter of May 3rd. And I'm worried about the credentials of this individual only because I typically, when we see these and there's therapy, not that there has to be, I usually have some letters after their name denoting some type of degree or some type something. And I have nothing on this letter at all. And I don't. Well, I have nothing on the letter and I am not finding them anywhere. I also can see the payment. It looks like payment records from Great Lakes, but I don't see payment. I'm gonna need that if I were to even consider awarding it. The payment records to the other place. I want to clarify one thing. Ma'am, you testified here that they don't accept insurance. So if they don't accept insurance, why'd you submit it to your insurance?
Just to see if it would be covered. I did that with another doctor who's out of network.
Well, hold on a second. To see if they would cover what?
Anything out of network. Sometimes my insurance does.
But they had already told you they don't accept it?
Right, but I figured I would try just because it was so expensive.
Okay, so they told you they don't accept insurance. You're telling me you submitted it to your insurance after that.
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask, what would be the purpose of that?
Sometimes my insurance covers things that are out of network, from out of network providers, even if it's a small amount. So I thought I would try to see if they would cover any of it.
Did they indicate to you, and they being wild wilderness individuals, did they indicate to you why they don't accept insurance?
They did not.
We're gonna take a recess. I want to see the one thing I want to see is I want to see these receipts from PayPal. I need to see them. Court's gonna stand in recess.
Oh, good Lord.